Hey guys, welcome back. So today we got a 2014 Hyundai Tucson, a 2.4 liter. Customer complaint: check engine light coming on and off intermittently for the past month and half. Customer reports that the vehicle is struggling to accelerate. The history: they have a code for a P0091 fuel pressure regulator circuit low. So um, it says here too a fault possible the high pressure fuel pump. And also the second complaint is vehicle will not come out to park. Customer has to keep releasing the lever using shift lock release button. So you got this shift lock release here right now. But if you press the brake there, it's not coming out, right? So we have to push this guy here first and we can move the shifter. So I have an idea already with this one. I think it's pretty common on these Tucsons. The BCM is not grounding that solenoid, but we're gonna go through to the inspection and then let's check the solenoid, the wiring diagram. Second, so here we got the code. We just finished the fault system scan, fuel pressure regulator circuit low, and a P0420. So let's go enter first here. For a low power, if yes, a P0420, maybe we can have a back pressure issue, right? Let's go red fault code first. There's no freeze frame. Okay. Let's go data stream first. Let's see how's this. I think this is a GDI engine. So let's check our high pressure side. And while I'm inside the car, I was trying to raise the RPM. I can hear some rattling there. And then, as you know, these 2.4s, especially the older models, they have some problems with the, what do you call that, with the engines. So let's just check this, the camshafts. Okay, what else do we need? The oil pressure. I need the oil pressure. Let's go fuel adaptation, see what's going on in there. And then I need the high pressure fuel. Where's that guy? Fuel pressure here. And of course, we got almost empty there. Our gas level. Okay, press OK. So at idle, we got our current, exhaust, and set point almost matching. And also on our intake, 127 to 125. We got fuel pressure right now. What do we have here? 52 psi. That's too low. It's too low for a high pressure side. I'm gonna raise the RPM. Okay, let me do a brake torque. So to put more load on this guy. So I'm pressing the brakes and put it in drive. So make sure you put your handbrake on, right? Just to make sure. So right now I'm trying to put load on this engine. But the question there is, why my set point, the computer wants at 49 psi? All right. Let me do ignition on first. Ignition off. So as you can see there, It has 640 psi on our set point, and my fuel pressure is climbing at 125. At least we know that there's no leak on that guy. I think that high pressure pump is just stuck in the low side. So if I'm gonna start this, okay, so that's good. Went to 500 and it just starts dropping. So if I'm raising the RPM, it should go up, and we can see that it's going up, right? I'm gonna go hold RPM. So 490, but that's still too low. I know on these models I should be running at least 500 idle. And it's showing 400. Fuel adaptation at idle 9%. Okay. So let me put more load again. So put drive, raise the RPM, brake torque. Let's see if this one can. More reverse. Okay. But earlier we saw that it was just standing around at 50 psi. Why? No, it keeps dropping. Yes, you can see that it just dropped right away to 50 psi. So that's not good. And we should be able to see if it has low fuel pressure. Let's go. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go to our OBD2. Oh, why am I going back there? Okay. Yes. Let's go to OBD2. So I'm gonna go through with that. Go the data PIDs again, and let's see. Okay. So right now, check engine light is on. So let's go back to our data stream. Why not? Okay. Read live data. We go to our. Not going that for now. Let's go RPM, fuel rail, short term. Maybe we can see from there. And then bank one, sensor two. Okay, let's see here. Fuel rail at 67 psi, right? Long term at 8% right now, short term. So let's graph this. Let's just raise the RPM first, because we have got a code for a fuel post catalyst, right? Efficiency. So let's just see here what's going on. So that absolute pressure here, our high pressure side, is just saying at 69%. That's not really good. That's 69%, 69 psi. So I'm gonna put some load on it now. Okay. So that didn't really improve. Same thing as in reverse. But I can see on my oxygen sensor number 2, downstream, you can see that that's moving up and down. That should be at least steady because I'm holding my RPM, right? So that's one indication too that we got an issue on our catalyst or catalytic converter, and maybe that's gonna be related in our low power. But since we have an issue with our fuel pressure, that's kind of tricky when you explain it to the customer, right? We have to fix first our fuel pressure, and see from there. But we're gonna go for a drive maybe and see. But the thing is, I have only one one line there for fuel, so um, it's not yet on the warning indicator. But we'll see. So I guess we're gonna go quick drive and see our data readings here, and we'll see from there. All right, guys. So we're in the road right now. Let's check this car on acceleration. Floor it. You see that our calculated and absolute road is at 60%. I should see that almost 100 when accelerating. My fuel pressure is still at 57 psi. It's really not good, but I don't know why I still, have I can still move this car. I'm very surprised didn't even stall. So I'm gonna do a U-turn here. At least this section of this road is uphill going back. So we're gonna try that and see again our readings and our data. So let's just wait. Okay, floor. 170, 63. Yeah. So I think we have some issue on our back pressure. I think it's not that bad, right? So I can still move, and I really usually with a um, clog cut, or if there's restriction in the catalytic converter when it's very very bad, usually you will hear a hissing sound because the exhaust is trying to escape somewhere else instead of going out at the end of the exhaust pipe, right? So it's trying to get out from one of the gaskets and something like that, and that's why you can hear some hissing sound. But in this case, I didn't really hear anything, a hissing sound. Um, Surprisingly, my fuel trim is still under 10%, even though we got a very, very low pressure here. I can see here when we went up, at least it hit at least 250 psi, but that's really not enough. Right now at 72 psi, um, so I'm just gonna double check our connections there, right? Especially my ground control for the high pressure pump, especially that. I hope it's not shorted or something like that. And we can recommend a new high pressure pump purchase. So let me go back to the shop, and then I'm gonna figure out that shift solenoid on our shifter. So while I'm stuck in traffic here, I'm just idling. My short-term fuel trim there at 16% went up when I'm just gonna raise the RPM to 20%. So that's positive fuel trim. So I think it's not I think, but it's adding fuel to the system. So right now I'm stuck still in the traffic, and I can see my fuel trim. It's starting to climb up. That's gonna be 14% there, 15. So that's lean. Oxygen sensor downstream 0 volts, 0.1, and my upstream is reading rich because that's minus milliamp. And it's not correlating to each other, right? That's 22% right now. Fuel trims. Sorry for the glare there. Okay, let's just go back to the shop. It's kind of hard driving while holding a camera. Okay, so we're back in the shop. Shifter on drive, just holding the brakes. And we can see here my bank 1 sensor 2 downstream staying at point 0.2, point 0.5. It's going up right now. My fuel trim at 17%, right? And now it goes back down again, point 0.2 on the lean side. But my sensor 1, the upstream sensor, is indicating rich. So these two guys could be related, that the computer thinks it's lean, not enough fuel. So the computer is adding fuel. So that's why I guess we have positive fuel trim and we got negative reading current on the upstream. So the oxygen sensor is reading too much fuel there right now. Okay, let me put this in park. So right now on park, I'm going to raise the RPM 2000. Oh, 3000 RPM. Right now my short term at 25%. You can see that? It's adding fuel. It's trying to add fuel. My or downstream oxygen sensor at reading 0.7, and my sensor 1 upstream is reading minus. And raising the RPM again. So clearly we have not enough fuel here because the computer is trying to add fuel because we have low pressure on our high pressure side. Okay, so now we're just gonna go under the hood, just double check everything, right? And then check oil too, make sure the oil level is good. And yeah, we'll check that. Okay, so we're under the hood right now. First thing I see is that this dipstick is not all the way in. And we don't have oil. That's zero oil, man. Will that cause the high pressure pump reading low? Since it's all reading. This one is driven by camshaft, right? Um, I don't see anything in there. Let me remove this. Oh, that's hot. Let me remove this connector first. Looks like that's tight. You know what? Let me add some fluid here. So I'm putting 0.5 for now. Let's see if there's oil. So there's nothing there. I'm gonna put 1 liter, so that's total 1.5 liters of oil going in. Yeah. There's something now at the end. I'm gonna put another 0.5. Oh wow! I'm surprised it didn't even, give us time timing system codes. So total right now, 3 liters. Oh wow! And usually this engine takes at least 4.5. So right now that's 3.5 liters of oil. Okay, we're there. So 3.5. That's a lot of oil. I wonder, since we have enough oil now, will our high pressure pump will operate normally now? We'll see. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab the same thing, RPM, fuel rail, mm, our oxygen sensors. Okay, let's graph that. Let me start this. Starts at 500 psi right now, absolute. Okay, 600 psi right now. So let's try to raise the RPM right now and see. Okay, wow, our fuel pressure looks good now. 600 psi, 500, 600 at idle, which is that's the normal values on these GDI engines. With the newer ones, sometimes they read at 1000 psi even though at idle. So you have to check what's good and what's bad, or what's the normal values, right? So anyway, so far our fuel pressure is holding at that 500 range, because earlier or last time we're trying to play around with the RPM and it was just drop at 60, 50 psi. Okay, that's good. So our controls, our high pressure pump, that's why I guess when trying to drive earlier, that high pressure pump is still working, right? I think it's still spraying fuel, high pressure side, but we know that it's reading at 50 psi or 60 psi, but we didn't get any stalling issue, right? I was surprised because you're demanding too much when you're raising the RPM, and you should spray more fuel there. But in that case, when we were driving, it didn't stall out. It was just okay. But we saw in our absolute and calculated load value was at 60 to 70%. So right now, looks our fuel pressure is looking good. Short-term fuel trim 0%, which is good. Let me put this in drive, because last time it was on drive that it's trying to bug down, or this one's trying to climb up. Let's put some load in here. Okay, that's good. So I guess I'm gonna just drive one more time on this. Make sure that yeah, it goes to 1,000 psi there. So okay, that's good then. We don't have a fault. It's just I guess since it's a high pressure pump riding on the camshaft, it needs oil there. We don't have oil. I put 3.5 liters of oil in there. Um, so yeah, and for our catalytic converter code P0420, most likely this guy needs a catalytic converter because the 3.5 liters of oil, if there's no leak in the system, it's gonna go to the combustion and to the exhaust. So I'm just gonna double check the engine part underneath, make sure there's no leak, and I guess that's our diagnosis on this one. Doesn't need anything, high pressure pump or any connections or anything electrical part on that. Just I guess the oil for the engine to run and for the high pressure pump, right? So next we're gonna be checking our shift lock solenoid here on our shifter. Okay, so first we're gonna put this in neutral. Let me just remove all this stuff. I hope we can just access. Oh man, it's so dirty. Um, I hope we can just access the solenoid. But I think we have to remove this whole guy here. Anyway, I hope I can just access that without removing this whole console here. So let's put in neutral first. Put your handbrake because just in case the car will roll. Um, this shifter knobs here, just pull up. Ah, okay. Now, I guess we need a pry tool here. Let's just remove all this stuff first here. All this garbage here. Let me grab my pry tool. We're gonna pry this and just take off this part here. So, can I remove this guy? Put your very small flat screwdriver there. Looks like all the dirt here all got stuck already in the middle. Oh man. Do you think this is separate? You can separate this guy? I'm not sure. Oh, looks like you can separate this. So I'm just trying to pry this guy here, this plastic trim. Because it's all dirt here, you know. So all the dirt is staying on that where you're supposed to pry. Okay. Okay. Almost there. Okay. Come on. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna remove the connector here. Oh man. Connector for a shift console. Oops. Okay, that's out. Now, where's our solenoid? Can we see it here? Okay, it's there. Okay, let me grab the light, test light, and back probe pin. Okay, so I check our wiring diagram just to make sure that I'm doing this right. because it's just simple power and ground on this guy. But the pin outs, the color wire there is green and brown, but in us, in our case, it's white and black. But the one that I'm poking was a wrong number. So I'm gonna go to the right number right now. Number four. Number four should be power. And you can see that the test light works, right? Now, if I'm gonna put ground on this side, this shift lock should turn on. Well, not turn on, but you can see that it's on too. So this is my solenoid, wire going in, power, coming out, power, until we press the brake switch and the BCM will ground that other wire, right? So if you're gonna press this brake switch here and we still have power, that guy is not grounding, right? So if I'm gonna just use this as a jumper wire, right? We need some ground. Let me get the jumper wire. Okay, so my ground control still connected there. I'm just gonna jump ground. Okay, so number four is our power all the time. Okay, so you can see that number number 10 is our ground control. So by doing that, um, jumping it straight to the ground, it just it just shorted it, and what happened is a fuse blow. So I'm gonna jump this number 10, and you can see there, you can see that movement, right? So solenoid is working fine. Our concern now is the ground from the BCM, not supplying ground. And in my experience, it's very rare that there's an open circuit from this wire here going to our BCM. So for me, that's my quick check. And if I'm gonna go further, I'm just gonna remove this part here, um, and the BCM is located behind this part. So if I'm gonna go further, I'm gonna remove that and check itself on the pin out on the BCM side if we have really ground there. And I know my brake switch is working, brake lights are working, and the data shows it's turning on and off. So we have a BCM's problem here. So I'm just gonna recommend that. And we're gonna drive one more time for our fuel pressure issue. Okay, so I'm just gonna clear these codes here right now that we have. Let's see if we still have, so we still have that permanent code there. I go for the current data, absolute calculated RPM. It's the RPM. Let's just take this and take our temperature just to see. And also our fuel pressure. Fuel pressure, short term, bank 1, sensor 1, sensor 2, and then long term. Okay, let's graph that. So fuel pressure right now at 36. I don't know why it shows 36. So fuel pressure right now at 600 psi. So we're gonna go for a drive, and then let's monitor again our pressure values there and our oxygen sensor. Okay, so we're back in the road. So far my fuel pressure, they're at 700 psi. I'm gonna go full full throttle so we can see. And that split seconds, I calculated an absolute load at 90% at least, and my fuel pressure is still reading at 900 psi, so which is a good thing. So I'm gonna go back around on here, at least in an uphill road, and let's see our data again. Okay, full throttle, 80% absolute, calculated at 90. Fuel pressure at 1000 psi. That's good. Short-term fuel trim. Oh well, so around -2.10%. That's good. So earlier when we were in the stoplight, my fuel trim starts climbing up the short term. So let's see about this. Okay, so we're on the stoplight. Okay, let's see our datas here. So fuel pressure is still reading at 600 psi. That's good. Oxygen sensor around, yeah, it's playing around plus minus milliamps. Sensor 2.7. Short-term fuel trim, at least it's -3 right now. At least that's still good. Unlike before, right now it was reading 17 psi, 17%, and it's still climbing, right? Oh, can you see that? Yeah. So right now we're within that good values. So yeah, that was the first time for me that low oil or not enough oil there can cause that issue on our fuel pressure, right? So let me just try to scan this guy here. Let's see if we still have that code, because we cleared that code. So we still have that permanent. Yeah, so that lack of oil can cause that high pressure pump, which is, I think, understandable, because that high pressure pump is it's riding on the camshaft, right? So if there's no oil there that's moving that spring or whatever, it could be that it gets stuck in one position and causing for that low fuel pressure. And yeah, we still have that. When I'm recommending this, I'm just gonna tell them that, okay, we got an issue on our oil consumption, and most likely you got an issue on our um, exhaust. Could be partially restricted or something like that, because when I was driving, so far there's still power there, right? It's not really like fully restricted. And also in our fuel pressure right now, at least it's reading normally, which is a good thing. And then what else? Yeah, I'm gonna recommend for sure. This is an engine issue. And I mentioned earlier that when I was trying to raising the RPM, It's like there's some knocking or something like that in the engine, or something like metallic noise, right? And then for our shift solenoid, for our shifter, that's gonna be the BCM. So if we get a go ahead, I guess I'm gonna do a repair video for that if it comes back to me. If not, I guess this is the end, guys. We did diagnose our fuel pressure issue, and then our shifter issue, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and let me know what you guys think. And again, see you next time. Thank you for watching.